Hello guys, Luton here. It's PixelJunk Shooter. We haven't had PixelJunk Shooter for ages, I'm so excited. But this video today is about my Twitter 2K. Now, I said to all my guys that I'd make a video answering some questions when I reached 2,000 followers on Twitter. I should point out actually that I sort of said I would do this as I reached 2,000. It wasn't like, get me to 2,000 so I'll make a video. But anyway, this was really my way of saying thanks to the people that have supported me and just got 2,000 followers on Twitter. It's awesome. It's a big deal, you know? Like when I started out, I didn't really think that the channel was going to continue to grow in this way. It's just awesome. So thank you to everybody. So I've got some questions from people and we'll go through these, and I will also commentate this video at the same time. I should also point out this is the penultimate episode of PixelJunk Shooter. This series has been going on so long, mainly because I didn't want it to die. I've kind of really loved this series, but you know, I still have, for example, lots of crystals to collect from levels I didn't, and miners that I accidentally slaughtered along the way and didn't get 100%, so I can totally revisit some of these levels and sort of try to complete them as I go along. Obviously I'm just checking here for more crystals. I wised up, as I often do through games. So let's get into first questions. And my first question is from eBank I Spy, and he says, how did you get started as an illustrator artist, and what tips do you have for someone wanting to also pursue that route? This is pretty hard because anybody that wants to be an illustrator or an artist or work in kind of design, it's pretty tricky. As it is with any job of that nature. Now, right now I currently work as a graphic designer, but my actual degree was in illustration, and I went through loads of periods trying to sort of decide what it was I wanted to do and trying to refine what I wanted to do. In fact, funnily, when I was at school, I actually was going to go into sort of medicine, or possibly I was thinking I was going to do like radiography and radiology at one point. And I possibly also wanted to become, I was possibly interested in being a vet at one point. I wanted to do veterinary work. And yeah, any of those kind of areas. I'm very interested in kind of science, technology, and all those kind of things, physics, chemistry, and so on. So, you know, I was studying these things at school, and but I've always been very artistic as a person. And one day I just totally freaked out. I was like, I've got to do art. So that's what happened. I just had a massive freak out. I was midway through, you know, my whole sort of learning process at, you know, school at the time. I was, you know, heavily in towards doing exams, and I just totally was like, I have to do this. It's a life choice thing. Like, I either do it now or never. So at that point, I just decided, I went and spoke to, you know, the tutors, and I said, like, okay, is it possible for me to change at this point? The head of our art department, she knew that I did art a lot, and she knew that I was capable, so she said, like, okay, you know, if you can do all this work that I give you to do, then you can change. So that's what I did, and I ended up doing a load there. So much work, but I got it all done because I was so passionate about it. Then I went on to the next stage, went through a whole load of different things. I was quite interested in product design for a while, and I was interested in graphics until I realised that when you do graphics as a degree and general course, it involves tons and tons and tons and tons of studying fonts, which, to be honest, like, I do graphic design right now, but fonts, it can be interesting, but most of the time it's boring as hell. And when you do graphic design courses, pretty much what you do is learn about fonts, which is mind-numbingly boring. You know, getting into like all the technicalities of fonts, and it's like, seriously, Jesus Christ. Anyway, so that's why I didn't study graphic design, because it's like, come on, anybody with some reasonable spatial awareness and a good sort of color palette can really do graphic design. It's not rocket science. So I ended up doing illustration. Sorry for graphic designers out there, but honestly, that's what I do for a job, and I swear to God. And I've worked in graphic design in multiple places. I've worked in graphic design for an animation company that I worked for a while. I've worked in a graphic design sort of studio, just like Christ, what's the word gone out of my head? Yeah, it's just like a, you know, studio. So it was a studio practice that I worked in. I'm sure there's a better word for it than that, but I can't think of it at the moment. Anyway, So I worked for them for a while as well, for about, I don't know, a year or two, something like that. Then I moved on to where I am now, which is more of an editorial production, which has graphic design, sort of advertising involved there. But my illustration, I did that for my degree, and you say, okay, why are you not doing illustration? The main reason was I did illustration freelance for a while. I got involved with illustration for storyboarding for this animation company, and that was for it was an animation series for children, and that was for National Geographic and the BBC that I worked for on that one. That was really good. I was doing storyboarding mainly for that inverter suit. Yay, love inverter suit. And then I always forget that I've got the inverter suit and it all screws up. Anyway, so that was a great project that I got to work on. Really enjoyed that hugely. But my illustration, I did freelance illustration for a while. I had multiple illustrations in different publications. I had some in some very large national newspapers here, like The Guardian and stuff. Had some in their Sunday magazines, which was awesome, and some other science publications, etc. But so that's my story background for when it comes to sort of design, illustration work, etc. And you know, I'm still open to do sort of freelance illustration and design. I still do that. I just don't actively seek it most of the time because I'm so busy. I just don't have the time. But it's something that, you know, I could definitely pursue loads if I wanted to. Just generally don't at the moment. Probably should actually, but anyway. But advice really is to just work as hard as you can, and then the rest is down to luck, unfortunately. Whatever your tutors tell you about, you know, you do this, you do that, you can do that, it's all very well and good, but at the end of the day, it all just comes down to luck. And also, can I say, there is a hell of a lot of truth when people say the words, it's not what you know, it's who you know. That could never be more true. A lot of work in design and illustration and so on, and other people that work in the industry will tell you that a lot of it comes down to basically just people that you know, and and that's what makes it so difficult to get into. It makes it unbelievably hard. I think I lose my shield stupidly here because I get wet or something. But there's a great guy on YouTube, and he works for sort of concept design in I think it's, where is it? Is it Hong Kong or something? I can't remember exactly their location, but it's over there in Asia. And I was watching one of his videos, and he said it's a good example when they're working on a project. You know, often the deadlines for design work of any kind are very, very tight. When I've done illustrations in the past, you may literally have maybe 24 hours turnaround. Now, those tend to be individual projects, but if you have a project which involves more than one person, well, if you have an extremely tight deadline, you need to know that when you hand work to those people, that they're going to get it done. Oh my god, it's attack of water bombers. Look at this. Jesus Christ. So if I give those people something to do, you need to know they're going to do it, because you don't have room for error. You don't have time to be making mistakes. You have to know the people that you're working with, and that's one of the reasons why it's not about sort of snubbing other people or not giving other people the chance. It's the case that basically you need to get that work. You know, you need to get that work done. So you have to have people you know, so that you can be assured that you're going to have a reliable product finish at the end. And that's really what it's about. And that's why it's very difficult for new people to get in, because often one project will pass on to the next. For example, the animation studio that I worked at, quite a few people there were working kind of freelance, but basically as one project would end, another would begin, and they say, hey, do you want to come work on this project? And that's how it works. You know, then they've just had people working with them, so therefore they're just going to trust those people. And that's why it's very difficult to get into. How can you get around this? You can't really. It comes down to a little bit of luck and a little bit of people that you know. And that's why in the world of art and design and sort of studying of any of that kind, it's important to socialize as much as possible. Not great for me because I'm not a big socializer. You know, I generally sort of, oh, massive oil damage right there. Because I'm a gamer, and because, sorry to kind of generalize gamers right there, but you know, I'm the kind of person, I'm not massive on socializing. I tend to kind of, I'm the person that would sit and just kind of observe and think, and you know, for sure I get involved, and you know, when I want to, I can have a lot to say, but for the most part, it's not something I massively seek. And you know, but that's one of the things that's massively important to do, is to sort of talk to other people, get involved in other things. Also, there's going to be a lot of sort of within art and design, a lot of kind of goodwill. You may end up doing projects. Often people, you know, I have done work in the past where I sort of say, well, okay, I'm not going to get paid for that, but it'll be good for my portfolio. And that's another sort of thing that people will do quite often, is they will do work in sort of, you know, complementary work or speculative work, and they sort of go, well, you know, this isn't actually going to get me any money, but it will be good for my portfolio. And that's often another thing there where you can sort of, you know, fill out your portfolio for art and design. Right, I've been answering this question for a while. I feel like I've covered it more than adequately. How long did it take me? 10 minutes. That's half this entire episode. This is not going well. Right, bullet points. Some of these are shorter anyway, so it won't matter. But yeah, that's quite a big question for the first one. You got your money's worth there, eBanks. So, okay, next question. Ricky Marvin, MaxKill396 says, with the recent Frostbite Go and Nvidia Shield announcements, what are your opinions on mobile systems? Me and Levelcap talked a little bit about the whole Frostbite Go thing. Oh, hold on. Scientist Rahal. Things were going so well. We had just started taking samples from the rock when, well, I don't know what happened. Everything shook. It shook for hours. It was like something was kicking from the ground, and then these creatures appeared everywhere, spreading like bacteria. It's horrible, Scientist Rahal. How did you survive? Frostbite Go. So yeah, mobile systems. Me and Nevercap covered this quite well in our last episode on the level, where we talked about sort of mobile gaming. Now, mobile gaming is something that I have a lot of interest in, but I feel like they often don't appeal to me currently. And the whole kind of Frostbite Go and Nvidia Shield things come in with that. I'm just going to talk generally about mobile gaming though a little bit, rather than specifically on those issues. And the thing is, with mobile gaming, I feel like there's a huge amount of potential for things that they could do, but most of the time I feel like they sort of don't really, they don't seem to really want to target hardcore gamers so much. They tend to target soft casual gamers a little bit more with the kind of games that they create. The kind of games that I would love to see more are the kind of puzzle intelligent games like Broken Sword, etc., and those kind of solving games. I think that you can have a great narrative, a great story there, but like me and Levelcap explained about Battlefield, you just can't really effectively make a kind of dynamic FPS game into a mobile system. Now, I've got to say as well, at E3 I think we saw, and there's been some other awards and things for kind of cradle systems that allow you to plug in your phone into a cradle so that you have basically a kind of Xbox controller style, that kind of thing. Looks awesome. I actually might want to get one just to try it out, but again, it depends. Like a lot of the other problem is a lot of mobile systems have very poor quality, poor amounts of memory. It drives me insane, the ridiculously low amounts of memory that mobile games has, and that's another limitation. So there's a lot of other things involved. It's not just about the engines or the sort of the systems that are running these things. It's often just the limitations of the devices themselves, and the fact that perhaps the device as well, just when you're trying to operate it to play the game, there's that kind of touch screenness. I'm never 100% on board with that, so that's a kind of limitation for me there. Not really sort of my bag, as it were. Okay, Jack Sneaky Dragons 22 says, how and why did you pick Luton09 as a name? I get this all the time. It's a totally boring answer, I'm afraid. Luton is a track by Underworld. Underworld is probably one of my most favourite electronic sort of whatever you want to call it, bands. Electronic, I guess would be the best word. I'm never quite sure what sort of classification to put them under, but because their music kind of spreads quite nicely. But yeah, Underworld, one of my most favourite music groups. They've been astonishing for the entire period I listened to them. They're just, the last 15 years, they're astonishing. 09, well, I made this channel in 09, so that's why it was 2009. Oh, don't get burned by the water! No! Oh, God! Why did I not have the foresight to shoot that thing from further away? Jesus Christ. So yeah, totally, that's the reason why. The reason my name is so boring, like just 09, it's because I didn't really intend to actually make anything of this YouTube channel, and then when it kind of did, I realised I'd kind of gone too far and I didn't really want to start over, so that's why. And annoyingly, Google and they won't let you change the full title of your channel once it's set in stone, so just can't change it now. Cooper Lily says, Cooper Lily, good Twitter follower and a gamer of mine, plays on my server quite often. Hello, Cooper. Says, what is your favourite vacation, or for those of you in the UK, holiday spot? Where is the most interesting place you've ever visited? And also, have you decided whether you'll do PC on the PS4? Which way am I leaning? Okay, favourite holiday place. Actually, my favourite holiday place is going to be Ibiza in the Mediterranean. Reason being, I've been there multiple times. I love it. It's got everything you want. It's got amazing seas. It's not as big as some of the other places you might go. It's not as trashy, and some people are going to go Ibiza, not trashy. It's not. There's some beautiful towns there which are really quiet and lovely, like Sant'Elia, and I love it as a place. I also love it, of course, because it had did have amazing club scene there, and I've been to Ibiza for different reasons, for relaxing and for the crazy awesome clubs that are there in the past, but that's going to be my favourite place to go if I was going to go on holiday for a nice relaxed chill out holiday. I know the island really well, and so for me it's a place I love so much. The most interesting place I've been, obviously, though, is... Oh my god, is this the end of the episode? What the hell am I... I'm going to have to, like, roll this episode on or something. How long have we got here? Hold on. Oh, 5 minutes. That's okay. Yes, the most interesting place got to be, obviously, Nepal and my trip there. If you didn't see my video, guys, about Nepal, I'll actually link it in this below in the notes, so you can go check that out. That was for my, I think, 15,000 subs. I did a video talking about that, because a lot of people asked me about that trip. I can't go into too much detail. If you want to hear about that trip, you best just watch the video, because it's way too much for me to explain right here. But Nepal, definitely the most interesting place I've ever visited. Okay, Steve Dixon, Music Amusing, says, what do you think about sponsored gun camos and uniforms as a way of both getting revenue and increasing customization options? I assume he means within Battlefield 4. I've got no real problem with sponsoring things. Sponsored things often can help out. A lot of people don't like that kind of stuff. But, I don't know about increasing revenue. I don't know whether it would realistically do that. By the way, I totally screw up with this lava cannon thing here. This is why it takes me so long to do this very simple puzzle. I kind of totally balls this. But yeah, revenue and branded stuff, I have no problem with it whatsoever. I think often because brands are real, it kind of brings that into the game, so I don't really have a big problem with it. Casey Bates says, watch some of your Final Fantasy VII walkthrough, that's on my Looting Gaming channel. I wonder what's your top 3 of the series. He says he's playing 12 now, and his top 3 are 7, Final Fantasy 3 and 13, I think that's right. Or maybe he means Final Fantasy 10. Anyway, my favourite Final Fantasies, 7 is going to be my top one, just because. I think Final Fantasy 10 is my second favourite game. People are going to be like, no! I'm afraid I actually really enjoyed that game. The only thing I didn't like about that game was its kind of lack of open worldness, which really kind of meh. And I'm going to go for an unusual third choice on Final Fantasy. I'm going to go Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles, a slightly less well-known Final Fantasy title, but I really like the ingenuity of that game, the way they designed it, the characters and everything that's sort of involved in it. And I'm picking that just out of the fact that it was such a nice break from the kind of more standardized model of the Final Fantasy series. So that's really my third choice there. Gonzo Quad 8 says, do you think Battlefield 4 will run on Mac? I only use Mac and PS3. I don't think it will run on Mac, simply because of the requirements of the system. Unfortunately, it's going to be way too powerful for Mac to run. Now, I use Mac, I love Mac, but when it comes to gaming, they're balls in the floor. They just can't hack it. And to be honest, it's a missed opportunity. Mac could really, benefit from sort of trying to push some of the more, strong gaming things, but it comes down to their lack of, basically, their lack of ability to sort of upgrade or change out the systems. I love the way they work, but they just suck balls for games. What keeps you motivated to create dozens of quality videos each week on Looting 09 and Looting Gaming? I think that's also from the same questionnaire there. What keeps me motivated is mainly because I super enjoy just creating and thinking. When I make videos, it actually helps me to think and kind of get involved with what I'm doing in the game. So the main reason, and that's the main reason why I even started doing videos in the first place, was to sort of create stuff so that it could help out my clan to sort of think about certain things in the game, and then that kind of led on to me sort of thinking more and more about things in the game myself. So it's kind of this endless process where I kind of create and I think, and it just kind of helps me. It's kind of self-reflective in many ways when I'm sort of making stuff, and also I just enjoy the process. So more than anything, that's really it. But I also enjoy interacting with subscribers. I like putting stuff out there that people themselves appreciate and get back involved with, and hearing responses from all of you guys that follow me and watch me. That's one of the biggest reasons why I actually make the stuff. And also I should point out, just so I just tack on the end there, I work full time, so YouTube is never about money for me. You know, it's about making the games. If it pissed me off so much, and in fact sometimes recently I have thought like, Jesus Christ, this is a pain in the ass. To just put things into perspective, okay, if I did one freelance, you know, to put things into a monetary perspective, if I did one freelance illustration per month, it would make me probably 3 to 5 times the same the amount of money that I make from all my YouTube videos each month, basically. So imagine the work, you know. So basically what I'm saying there is one illustration that may take me 1 day would earn multiple times over the money that I make out of all my YouTube videos each month. So I hope that puts it into perspective, the amount of work that goes into my YouTube stuff and what I actually get back out of it. It's very, very little. My full-time job is what pays the bills. Crazy motorbike driving past. Too Many Lamps Macafino says, do I watch Breaking Bad? And if so, what do I think? Yeah, I watch Breaking Bad. It's awesome. The characters are amazing. The acting is amazing. It's an awesome concept, and we need a hell of a lot more television like that if TV is ever going to survive, because right now TV is in the pits, and you know, it needs to claw its way back out. It's an amazing show. If you haven't seen it, I say go check it out. Hughie Shillingford Skyjuice, I know you, says, we want to know about my last clan and sour breakup. I can't really talk about it because at the time there was some issues where we had signed things talking about, you know, what we could and couldn't talk about there because there's monetary issues involved. But basically the main reason why we had a massive breakup with my clan was because they were total dicks, and they just screwed us over. They didn't like the way that me and a couple of the other guys were running things, and so it just ended up becoming a massive you know, horrible situation, and they said you've got to leave or it's going to get and it became very complicated, and that was the main reason why my clan broke up. Not that interesting though, because it happened about 4 years ago or something, so it's all done and dusted. Sergeant Blackburn Trollmaster 98 says, who was my inspiration for YouTube? Nobody really, because I didn't really start it as an inspiration. We're running out of time. What was my first Battlefield? My first Battlefield was 1942, but I didn't play very much. And then when I was at Battlefield 2, worst Battlefield 3 moment would be the disastrous time when I had that horrible, I had like about 10 to 20 rounds in a row, all completely destroyed. I refused to leave even though we were getting annihilated. It was horrific. And the last question, okay, I'm going to extend the video on right here because I've got to do this, so I'm adding in, this is a bit of replay for you basically. So the last question, what direction do you think DICE or EA will take after Battlefield 4? Would you like to see Battlefield 2143 or Bad Company 3 or even Battlefield 5? And that comes from Scott Greaves, HHXable. I should also say worst Battlefield 3 moment came from Mad Clan Battlefield 3 and first Battlefield Ben Morrow 1, just so I'm shouting everyone out there. So what direction do I think we should go after Battlefield 4? This is hugely important, really important. The reason being, I think they need to go in a different direction after Battlefield 4. If they were to just go on into Battlefield 5 again, I think it could be a problem. The reason being is that the Battlefield series, we went from, you know, obviously you got 2143, Battlefield 2, they're all quite different, alright? And then you go from that, you had like 1943, Bad Company, again, they're quite different. Bad Company and Bad Company 2, they were very sort of, you know, close together, but they still have made some significant changes. Similarly, Battlefield 3 and 4 look like they're going to make some significant changes, and then of course you got like the Vietnams as well. They all have got this kind of unique element to them. And I feel like when we come to the end of Battlefield 4, which is going to be a while away anyway, they need to make an incredibly difficult choice. Because if they just make Battlefield 6, and all they do is build onto what has already existed, what's already been there, it's going to be a very, very tricky one for them. Mainly because you're very much in danger of starting to become stale, and you're in danger of falling into the same trap which Call of Duty has, where you're kind of you want to be successful because of what you already have done, but you're too scared to be innovative enough that it changes up the title. Now, I feel that DICE are not stupid and they're not scared in that way, because DICE have always been very strong about, you know, trying different things, being very innovative and generally pushing the boundaries. That's why Battlefield 4 and Battlefield 3 have been so strong. I know Battlefield 4 is not out, but you can already see that they really have listened and really pushed forward, and so I don't feel that worried that they're going to make the wrong decision. Personally though, what do I think that they should do? This is a bit of a tricky one. I haven't really given it tons and tons of thought because it's so far ahead, but whatever they do, they need to make some significant change, and they probably need to go, you know, take a step out and try something as a new project. Would that mean going back to Bad Company? I don't really think so. I don't think that's really necessary. I think the Bad Company series suited the time period, but I don't think it really needs to be revisited. What they should try and do is try and be innovative and try and think of something that hasn't been done within the same arena. A difficult thing to do within the world of FPS, for sure. But that's what I really feel. There's different ways you could go about it. Time periods is a difficult thing. Everybody always says, oh, we could go back to World War II, blah. You know, the World War II issue is the fact that there were very limited weapon types, and so that makes it very difficult for an FPS title where people have a large appetite for things. Similarly, going into the futuristic model, a lot of people don't really like that. So what could you do? It's hard. You need to try and find some way of kind of amalgamating things, but also I feel like simplifying things back could be a real help. But whatever they decide to do, I have faith that DICE are sensible enough to actually understand this process, because they have done before. And also, with the Frostbite 3 engine, I really feel like they're going to be able to do something amazingly special, so perhaps they really could do something else. Now, the only thing that I would say about the World War II situation is that, you know, in many ways, I actually think this could be quite good. I know I said that the difficulty with it is the whole weapon situation. The other problem with it is that it's been done, you know, endlessly. There's been so much done about it, and so in that way, people often feel like, well, we're getting a new game, but it's not really a new game. They could go in a different way. They could try and go in a kind of alternate reality way, so they don't take a literal thing. They try and have a little bit more imagination with it, and so they could invent something else, different timeline. So perhaps, for example, something could be like World War II, but it has a different spin on it, an alternate reality spin, where maybe technology has you know, evolved in a slightly different way. It's been created in a different way. Things have moved on, so there's a whole other system there to it. It's a little bit more interesting. There's a little bit more customization there. Perhaps there's other themes going on. There's a lot that you could do if you go down that route. But I've got to say as well, if they just went with a straight up kind of World War II title, or that period anyway, the weapon simplicity could actually be a good thing. Alright, because the limited amount of weapons means that you end up focusing much more on the gameplay and other elements. That could be an interesting route to go down. It also could be interesting because think of what you could do with creating a theatre of war of that size using the systems that we were going to have, and that, you know, in the future period where we've got Battlefield 3, it's really been, you know, refined down at Battlefield 3, Frostbite 3, where it's really been tested, used to the max. Whoa, get that guy. And that's really, you know, what I'm thinking. You could do something amazing there with the scale and involvement of the system. So that's where I'm coming from in that perspective. So quite a long video today, guys. Hope you've enjoyed. A little bit rambly here and there. Some questions covered much more detail than perhaps were necessary, but that's just me all over. I hope you've enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Back with PixelJunk, the last episode of PixelJunk Shooter of this story coming up, I think, pretty soon. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all my Twitter followers. I'll see you guys very soon.